inside the off stump. Oh, he's caught it! I don't believe it! Tom Kohler-Cadmore has caught the most magnificent catch. At short third man, it's the end of Daniel Sams, and Somerset have won the Vitality Blast 2023. They've bowled Essex out for 131.
Hello there, you're listening to Always Look on the Bright Side of Life. This is the Somerset Cricket Podcast. My name's Ian Shepherd. Joining me this evening, I've got President of the club, Sir Peter Wanless. Peter, how's it going?
Very well, thank you.
Pretty much all of it, weren't you?
Yeah, I was there. All good-ish.
The official custodian of the list of maidens bowled by men in Vitality Blast cricket for Somerset, Dan Kingdom, is also joining us. Dan, were you all 4 days there as well?
Apart from when I was working Friday and Monday, I was there, yeah, and it was gutting and a shame, yeah.
And one man whose job didn't stop him being there, because he is, of course, the voice of cricket on BBC Radio Somerset, officially for at least another season. Anthony Gibson is here as well. And Gibbo, well, shall we start with you? I was going through Twitter and I saw your tweet saying if Somerset are to be serious championship contenders, this is a game that they needed to win. Do you still stand by that, or has the performance given you enough sucker for the rest of the season?
Well, I think we would have won, but for the pitch. And I think there's some serious questions need to be asked about pitch preparation at Taunton, because this isn't the first time it's happened. It happened against Nottinghamshire last year. And if we don't produce pitches on which we can get a result, we're not going to win the county championship. I asked Lewis Gregory last night whether we would ever get a positive result on a pitch like that. And his reply, impossible.
All right,
and that's
I've
from the
written
captain of the club.
Impossible. Lewis wasn't mincing his words. He said it was bang average, didn't offer anything. As you said, Gibber, impossible to win games of cricket, and it's not what we were after. Yeah. Slightly playing devil's advocate, though. Should you be able to bowl a side out on 200 overs on any sort of surface with 4 international bowlers in your lineup?
Well, we didn't.
I know you should be able to, surely.
Well, I don't know. I mean, there just wasn't anything. It wasn't just flat. It was slow. It was like a feather bed. The ball just didn't come. It didn't bounce. It didn't seam. It didn't spin. It was just a really turgid pitch, and something's got to be done about it.
I've just got up to unplug my Alexa there because my wife's out the front doing various bits and bobs of the fishbowl. So I wouldn't want to ruin your listening pleasure with my Ring doorbell constantly announcing itself in your ear. Shall we start with the positives? Let's start at the beginning. So Lewis Gregory won the toss. There's a few captains have been sucking into doing it, Taunton, thinking it's going to do more than it does. Ironically, that was the best time to bowl. And welcome to Taunton, Casey Aldridge. A phenomenal spell of bowling. I think that's the best he's bowled in the Somerset shirt. Dan, I mean, did you catch much of it on the stream? And well, we'll start with you, Peter, because you were there at the ground. I mean, he just seemed to slip a gear and find that lovely full length, and he looked $1 million.
I was there at the ground, but this is one of the hazards of being the president and having duties to perform. I had the pleasure of taking the Worcestershire contingent, Astley Giles, Phil Neal and his wife, their chair, Dominic, and we also had Richard Gould and his father, Bobby, at our lunch table for an extended lunch, during which Casey Aldridge took an awful lot of wickets, which I didn't really get a chance to see. So despite having been there for an extended period of the game, I watched Worcester score a lot of runs in the run-up to lunch, had an extremely tasty Carvery, and I'm afraid I had to watch Casey Aldridge's wickets back on the live stream at the end of the day, which was slightly ironic. But I mean, they looked fantastic there, didn't they? He seemed to be bowling with aggression. The ball seemed to be moving about, just enough to take the edge or hit the stumps. It was fantastic. Let's hope he's in the team for the next game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's hope they don't make the same mistake they made last year and watch him get a fifer up at the Oval and then drop in for the Notts game and completely ruin his confidence. I mean, Dan, we've been waiting for this version of Casey Aldridge to arrive for a long time now. He has worked his socks off over the winter. I heard he's been working with Andy Caddick with making tiny little tweaks to his action, and virtually every time he could, I saw him out working with Steve Kirby at various Metrobank games and other times, and he really does deserve it, doesn't he?
Yeah. He's improved every year since he made his debut for Somerset a few years ago. He's sort of that real point of difference bowler with a bit of pace and a bit of bounce. And he's a real key member of the attack now, and probably is in our first choice 11. As you say, we need to now keep him playing so he doesn't lose rhythm. Hopefully I'm sure he'll play this week at Hove. Could see him potentially resting for the Rose Bowl to make sure he's then fully fit for the Oval, where obviously he did so well last year. So I think that would make some sense. He's a really good cricketer. He can bat pretty well as well, and to be honest, he's exactly the kind of cricketer that England like. So it wouldn't shock me to see him maybe even playing in the Ashes this winter, given there are so many injuries to pace bowlers at the moment, the guys that England like. If Aldridge stays fit and has a good season, you never know. He has played for the Lions, so he's on their radar.
Yeah, he kind of had a stop-start Lions tour. He went on the first tour. He didn't really do very much, and then he was sort of jettisoned for the second half. But it looks like he spent that time very wisely, judging by how he bowled. Yesterday. When was it been? Friday. So Worcester all out for 154. Gareth Roderick and Jake Libby sticking on 70 for the first wicket, and then Casey Aldridge opening the floodgates either side of lunch, bowling 8 overs unchanged either side of the lunch break. Not his career best figures, but certainly I think it was generally agreed that was the best spell of bowling he's put in with a red ball for Somerset.
That was his own assessment.
That was, yeah. What did you? Yep. Sorry, Gib, I forgot to ask you about it there. You, of course.
No.
Much more Casey Aldridge than all of us. What were your thoughts on it?
I'd just echo everything that's been said. It was a very good spell of bowling. It was great to see him coming on, moving on from last year, and I hope he's kept in the team and given an extended run. I agree with Dan. You could give him a rest against Hampshire, but he's young and strong. I'd have thought the more he bowls, the better he'll get.
Couldn't agree more. Right. Should we talk about certain Mr. T. Banton setting a new club record, eclipsing the likes of Richards, Justin Langer, Graham Smith, James Hildreth, Marcus Trescothick. They are all straining their necks looking up at Tom Banton, who made the 21st highest ever score in first-class cricket. Only 17 players have a career best higher than Tom's 371, which he made from 403 balls, 520 minutes, 56 fours and 2 sixes. My God, this guy has just come from literally the absolute wilderness of red ball cricket against Kent in 2023, the final penultimate game of the season. He manages to get his first red ball knock. Looks absolutely terrible. I remember more or less this time last year, he had 2 knocks in a day against the Students, Exeter University, in that pre-season friendly. And he looked absolutely all at sea and completely out of nick. I don't think any of us picked him in our sides for that first game down at Canterbury in the 2024 season. And now, just over 12 months later, he is a record holder, having played in innings of the highest quality. To be fair, not the greatest attack, but bloody hell, 371 takes some getting against any type of bowling. So, I mean, I just can't believe he turned it round in such a relatively short space of time. And also, it still winds me up that probably of all the players in world cricket, I think he's the one who COVID affected the most, not in the sense of having caught it, but in the sense of the lockdowns and everything just halting the momentum in his career, and it really taken him, up till this time last year to get back to where he should be. And long may it continue. Are we going to see him in an England shirt then, Sir Peter? Have you heard anything on the radar?
Well, that's his ambition, isn't it? I mean, he's put time and effort into building up this skill at the Red Bull game. I mean, I must admit, I was a bit nervous that he's been so successful, hasn't he, through the winter in 20 over cricket, that was he going to be able to lock back into that seam of form that he'd had with us last year? The last time we saw him at the Cooper Associates County Ground, he was hobbling out on crutches. But yeah, I mean, why not? If he the trouble is that in terms of, well, I say the trouble because we'd like him to play for Somerset, I guess, really. But the likely vacancy in the England team is opening the batting, and it'd be just the sort of stupid thing they do, like they did to Dan Lawrence last year, would be to pick him for the squad and make him open, and we'll be back to square one. But let's hope that doesn't happen and that he has a extended run in this next few county championship games and keeps up the form that we saw. I mean, 56 fours. That's something else, isn't it?
I think I've hit that many in my career, let alone one knock. I mean, Dan, I left him on. I say I left him. He was 80 odd not out on the Friday. I had to go to Chepstow races to work on the Saturday. Came back and finished him. Watched him eventually perish, caught behind off young left arm spinner Hindley for 371. So I mean, talk us through that Saturday where he, obviously he batted through the whole day.
Yeah, it was just unbelievable. I mean, he scored so quickly and scored boundaries so frequently. The score was just going up and up. He never really looked like getting out until he got more than 300 when he finally got dropped. He was presumably in that zone that cricketers talk about, that they get in a few times in their career where everything they try just seems to go right. He scored all around the wicket. He was aggressive without ever really taking any undue risks. And it was just, absolutely incredible to watch. Mesmerizing, really. Just seeing the score go up and up and record after record tumbling. I mean, I was enjoying it on, tweeting various things about the partnership and Bance's score. Just an unbelievable knock that we probably won't ever see anything like it ever again. I mean, it's the 5th highest ever score in England. So I think it's a privilege to have seen it because, it's a once in a lifetime thing, I guess, to see a knock like that.
I was letting anyone and everyone who would listen in the Colin Atkinson Pavilion know about record partnerships and scores of 200 and 250 and this sort of thing. And normally I'm quite superstitious about these things and I don't like to look them up because as soon as you do that sort of thing, the batter is out, aren't they? But he was so, as you say, Dan, in the zone that I didn't feel I was risking anything by researching the records.
Phrase that sort of popped into my mind was just a brutal accumulation, Gibbo. He's one thing that does impress me is he's kind of compartmentalised his white ball and his red ball game. You don't in white ball cricket, you will see him reverse flicking, all sorts, ramping, manipulating the field in the T20, but not really much in county championship cricket. But I just remember him punching the ball through mid wicket just relentlessly. And you would have seen some of the great knocks. I imagine Hildy's 303, Justin Langer's triple hundreds, Graham Smith. Where does that knock rank in the list of those?
I didn't see either of those. My debut for the BBC on Sport on 2, Radio 2 was in 1985 when Vivian Richards scored 322 between 11:15 and 5 o'clock in the evening, and that was something special. And I was also there in May 1988 when on the BBC again for Graham Hicks 405. So a triple century is not unknown to me, but it was what struck me about it was the fluency of it. And I mean, you say he's found an accommodation between his white ball cricket and his red ball cricket, and he has, but the foundation of both is the same. and that's a good defence. And he moves his feet. He moves his feet really well. He gets himself into a position where he can use his phenomenal wrist strength and hand speed to hit the ball more or less where he wants to hit it. It was a remarkable innings, and I've been a bit of a champion for Tom Banton. You will have recalled that in September 2022 he came on as a concussion substitute at Chelmsford against Essex.
He did,
and scored 126. All right,
that was July, wasn't it?
no, well, whenever it was, anyway, it was.
I remember.
It was against
I was on
Essex.
holiday. On holiday in Disney when that game was going on. Lewis Goldsworthy got 100 as well, didn't he? I think.
Yeah, I was there. It was very hot, and that was another very flat
hot and
wicket.
flat.
It was.
Yeah.
It was. Anyway, his reward for that was to not get picked in the following season until the following September.
Yeah.
Right? And then he went away last winter and really worked ever so hard on the basics. And he came back last year. I remember, the equivalent fixture last year was at Kidderminster. Horrible, cold, dreadful weather, slow old pitch. And he got 92. And he worked really, really hard. And he went on and scored runs throughout last season, averaged 49.5. And what we've seen here is a further development of Tom Abell's batting, Tom Banton's batting. What am I talking about? And
too many Toms.
Yeah, too many Toms. Well, we're going to have 6 Toms in the game against Sussex. But no, I just think it's great. It's great, and it's a reward for going back to basics and really knuckling down and almost relearning batting. And he had a fantastic season last year. His red ball form has fed into his white ball form, and you could argue that that football injury that he sustained in the game against Surrey cost us A, the county championship, and B, the Blast, because with Tom Banton in the side for those last couple of games in the county championship, it might have been a very different outcome, and almost certainly would have been a different outcome in the Blast. So he's become an absolutely integral part of the Somerset team, as I always predicted he would. And I'm absolutely, I'm over the moon for him. And it was a great privilege to be able to interview him afterwards. And I said, how do you feel after that? And he said, weird. And he was almost in a state of shock. Poor lad. But it was a wonderful, as Dan said, he didn't put a foot wrong until he'd gone past 300. He played and missed a couple of times. He got a couple of inside edges, but it was up to 320 odd. It was chanceless. It was a fantastic, fantastic innings. Privileged to have been able to watch it.
I mean, you mentioned the word weird there, Gib. I mean, I wonder how he sort of felt when he woke up this morning. We were recording this the day after the game finished on Tuesday. I mean, he's just gone past all those names that we've listed. Record score for Somerset. All these batting records that you could shake a stick at. Given his all, he's batted for what? Day and a half, nearly 2 days. He's been in the field for nearly 2 days. Well, I mean, he must be absolutely mentally drained, and just the highs and lows is, I hope he's got some good support around him just to
He looked happy enough. He looked happy enough on the balcony last evening, having a beer with James Rue. I mean, there was disappointment that we didn't finish the job and couldn't polish Worcestershire off, but he fielded all through that 200 overs of the Worcestershire innings. Even bowled a few overs. He didn't look any the worse for it. I think he got over it certainly by yesterday. But yeah, it's fantastic. I'm really, really so pleased for him.
And it's not often that an innings eclipses pretty decent 152 from James Rue as well. It would be remiss not to mention that. He started the season well, and I think he's going to be a massive cog in the machine in that middle order if we are to challenge for the championship. Shall we have a little talk about the top 3? Well, I suppose the top 4 really. Tom Abel rather uncharacteristically played a very loose shot just after he got to 50. Tom Lammonby played a Gower-esque waft at one that he probably shouldn't have, and I suspect won't be rewatching on the highlights. And Sean Dixon, after his 100 in the pre-season game, played a pretty average shot and perished for 11.
Yeah, I mean,
Let's move on.
I thought Tom Abel looked in really good form. He batted beautifully, and it was just a bit of a brain fade. Whether the ball stopped on him a little bit or not, I don't know. Archie Vaughan got a decent ball. Sean Dixon, well, we've become used to that. Tom Lammonby, ditto. I'm still not convinced that Sean Dixon is the answer to our opening batsman issues. I'm still looking forward to Thomas Rue coming into the side and taking the wicket-keeping gloves, and James Rue moving up to open the innings with Archie Vaughan as a left-handed opener. But I'm not sure it's going to happen. But we live in hope.
We do indeed. One individual I think as well needs to take a lot of praise. He didn't take the field yesterday, but that's Shane Burger. Since he came in at the beginning of last season, is that right? Or was it the season before?
Season before.
I do think our batting does seem to have more of a spine to it. It seems to be more robust, and whatever he's been doing, it seems to have been rubbing off on the guys. I've not really spoken to him much. I've sort of exchanged pleasantries at press as you do at the end of the day. But he seems to be a very, very good communicator. You know what I mean? He's one of these guys who looks you directly in the eye, and it's always very good body language with him, even if it's just quickly saying hello to you in passing. There was a great podcast that he did a few months ago. It was a coach's one. I really implore you to go and have a listen. It's a fascinating hour or so he does, and I think we should try and get him on to have a chat as well, because I think that would definitely be one for definitely be a good listen. Right, shall we talk about? We've been putting it off for the best part of half an hour now. Well, the Worcestershire rearguard, and you do have to give them credit, because whatever the surface you're batting on, to bat for 200 overs without getting bowled out is a pretty monumental effort. And fair play to them, to Brett D'Oliveira, 100 odd, Adam Hose, formerly of this parish, 82 of 151, Matthew Waite down the order, 87 of 319. Tom Taylor again. Remember that Northants game a couple of years ago that we were similar sort of pitch, flogging our guts out on? He faced nearly 70 balls for 12, and young Tom Hinley, 44 balls at the end. Now, I don't like criticising groundsmen or pretty much anybody because they are doing a job, but it has been a good 3 or 4 years now, ever since 2019, where we have had these occasions where pitches at Taunton we have these, they just turn into these lifeless, placid featherbeds like we saw yesterday, like we saw against Notts last year, Northants a couple of years ago, Leicester, I think it was 2021, where Josh Davey, Marchant and Roloff got a few runs down the order, and I'm sure there's a couple more. And then we seem to have the flip side, where we have pitches like the one where Essex beat us by 1 wicket a couple of years ago, the pitch against Essex last year, which was sort of a 150, is a decent score, and it's really good cricket. So what's going on there? I don't understand how you can get the disparity with these surfaces, but like he says, as you said to Lewis Gregory, Gibbo, you ain't going to win championships on pitches like this, and he pretty much agreed with you. Well, he did agree with you, very emphatically.
He did. I don't like criticising groundsmen, because it's not it's not an exact science, because you've got Mother Nature to contend with all the time. But it has been going on for rather too long. This problem of pitches that just lack pace. They lack pace. So you're not.
Well, I think that's the issue. They're lacking pace.
Yeah, it's
sorry.
If there's no pace, you're not encouraging your quick bowlers, and you're not encouraging your spinners, because spinners like a bit of pace and bounce. And the other thing is that they don't deteriorate; they get better or get get easier as the game goes on. I mean, I don't know what the answer is, and I'm sure the groundsman's doing his absolute best, and I'm sure the instructions from Andy Hurry and co are to produce result wickets that suit our attack. It's just not happening, and I don't know what the answer is, but it's something that really does need to be addressed because we weren't very good away from home in the championship last season. We didn't win any games away from home, so we need to win our home games, and we're not going to win our home games on pitches like that.
No, and I agree being loath to criticise, but because changing the nature of a surface takes a long time. You can't just nip down to Morrison's and buy yourself a new pitch and pop it out there and on the square ready for tomorrow morning. It's going to be nice and pacey and bouncy. I mean, look at sides that won the championship. I mean, when Durham won it, they green seams that suited their attack. Surrey over the last few years have been pacey wickets that suit their attack, good to bat on, but also good to bowl on. And like you say, they deteriorate. But when there's no pace in it, you're not encouraging your quick bowlers. And when it does spin, it's just slow turn as well. So that's easy enough to face. Gibbo's had enough. He's dropped off. I mean, what were the stats there, Dan? Let's have a look. 485 for 9, 16. So 26 wickets in 4 days. And quite a number of those were some pretty agricultural wahoos as well.
Most of them while I was having my lunch. Perhaps I should have gone for another lunch.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of wickets fell on day one as well, didn't they? I mean, there was that mad sort of first couple of sessions, really, when like 12, 13 wickets fell. And then after that, there was hardly any wickets for the rest of the game. I think we need to obviously bear in mind last year after the first home game against Notts was extremely flat and we were having exactly the same conversations. We then went and won 5 home games in a row. So who's to say we won't do that this year? I think we need to bear in mind that clearly early season it's harder to produce result wickets. It seems to be that when the pitches, when the ground staff haven't had as much time to prepare the wickets, when the wickets haven't dried out that much, they are very batting friendly or very slow, so it's difficult for any kind of bowler. But later in the season, as we know, we try and produce spin friendly wickets. Obviously, we've taken that to extremes in some seasons, not so much the last few years. The last few years, we have produced some pretty good spin friendly wickets. I think the Durham game last year and the Surrey game, they were more spin focused, and those matches, finished on day 4. They were good wickets, I think. At least within the constraints of what we can do at Taunton. Clearly, it's not easy. Clearly, the balance is, I think the difficulty is we all want a perfect wicket that produces a really fair balance between bat and ball. But clearly, there's just such a narrow window for that at Taunton. Obviously, I'm no expert on groundsmanship, but that's just my theory. It seems to be one extreme or the other almost. We had that Essex game last year where I think weather was part of the reason it was such a seam-friendly wicket, but it seems to be sort of that or a spin-friendly wicket or these really, really flat wickets, and we just struggle to get it in that window in between where it is a really good balance between bat and ball. So we need to, there's clearly no easy solution. We've had multiple head groundsmen as well, haven't we, over the last few years, and it's been sort of the same for a while. And obviously early this century was obviously extremely flat wickets as well, and obviously then there was Langer obviously instigated a bit of change. Maybe we need to think about what will happen then, sort of 2008 to 12 ish. Were those wickets a bit less flat and a bit more of a balance before we got to the sort of 2015-16 period when they became quite spin friendly a lot of the time? It is really tough, and I do sympathise with the ground staff because they can't just magic up a perfect wicket. They've got what they've got to work with, and they're, I'm sure, trying their best. And it is difficult this early in the season. So I think we can hope for better wickets later in the season as the sun bakes it a bit.
Yeah, I think Nick Pepper the head of the ground staff, did say that there are a couple of wickets where they're sort of bedding in some new soil. I don't think they'll be ready till next season. It might be even said the season after. So they are trying to do it, and it is just like you say. It is just frustrating when you've got a side and you want man for man. You're a better side. You should be beating them, and they you just can't get over with. I mean, flipping it round, should you be able to bowl a side out in 200 overs on any surface?
Well,
I don't
I'm
know.
certainly
I
not.
did think there were periods where they seemed extra keen on the short stuff, and perhaps they might have been better served just by going orthodox.
well, he was trying everything, Lewis
Yeah.
Gregory. The only thing that he didn't try, and various people on Twitter have said this, is that for that last over,
Quick bowler.
once we got the last over, perhaps he could have brought Craig Overton or Casey Aldridge on to bowl that, to try a bit of pace, because Hindley was playing Jack Leach very, very comfortably, left-hander to left-arm spinner. I thought Hindley and Waite worked it out really well together. With Waite taking Archie Vaughan and Hindley taking Leach, and he could have given Craig Overton a go. But other than that, Lewis didn't criticise his bowlers, and I wouldn't criticise them either. I thought they bowled pretty well. The only thing you could say is Jack Leach doesn't vary his flight as much as perhaps he could do. The ball that he got Jake Libby with, I don't know if Peter saw this before he went off for his lunch on the first morning.
I did, yes.
He tossed it right up, and the one that he nearly got the wicket with towards the end was tossed right up when it a full length delivery just got the inside edge onto the pad. And I'd like to see him just do a little bit more of that, vary the flight a bit, rather than just he's sort of metronomic in the way he bowls, which is great if the pitch is going to do something, and every so often if you're putting it in the right areas time after time after time, sooner or later something's going to happen. On that pitch, nothing was happening, so you have to vary it a bit. But apart from that, the pitch was the winner. Rather than, I thought Worcestershire batted really well as well.
Credit to them.
If they'd been asked batting like that, we'd be cheering them on as heroes. I mean, they really did dig in, and because it's not easy, if you're batting like that all day, concentration required and poor old Brett Oliveira got a distinctly dodgy decision. Quite how that was ever given out, I don't know.
Well, it's whether there was contact with the front pad before the back pad. We've had loads of questions about this, and I don't know if our listeners think we have access to some kind of time travel Hawkeye that we can just quickly nip back and install at the ground, and or sort of super slow-mos. I mean, all I did was I kind of had to zoom in on the YouTube feed and sort of roll it backwards and forwards, but it definitely hits him on the back leg. And that is a close shout. It
was a close shout. It wasn't a conclusive shout, even that.
Yeah, exactly. So, but if it flicks because the LBW law is on the first point of contact between bat and pad. So if it hits front pad and goes on to back pad, well, you've got to judge it as the front pad, irrespective of what happens. But so if it hits the back pad first, I think it's a very good shout. I'm not saying it's plumb, stone dead or conclusive, but it's a very good shout. But one that you probably wouldn't feel confident in giving. But I wouldn't be surprised at all if technology showed it to go on and hit the stumps.
Well,
you may have even been doing too much. You never know.
Would you?
Sorry, Gibbo?
I said we wouldn't be very happy if Tom Abel had got that decision.
Well, Tom Abel is a purist, Anthony, and he would use his finest Millie Champion Hall cricket bat to effortlessly stroke it through the covers rather than padding up.
Well, was it Martin Saggers who gave it? He was the one who didn't give that run out at Old Trafford last year.
So that was O'Shaughnessy. That was O'Shaughnessy.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. Sorry, Sags.
Oh, yeah.
Can I make one quick point as well? Regarding the last over, it was literally a matter of seconds to get in position to start bowling that last over. The clock was about to tick over to 6 o'clock. I just wonder if Craig or Casey were going to bowl it, would they have made it to their mark in time? The bowler has to be in position, don't they?
No, it's the umpire. It's the umpire who has to be in position.
Is it not bowler as well?
No, just the umpire.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
But I
Once
suppose.
once Paul Pollard had decided he was in position, it still said
Mm.
17:59. Then there was going to be another over, and Gregory could have chucked the ball to Craig Overton. But I have to say, it didn't occur to me at the time. I thought, if you've got an international spin bowler, he's the one most likely. But with the benefit of hindsight, it might have been better to have given Craig Overton the ball.
If you take the day as a whole, I think that Lewis's captaincy was imaginative
Yeah.
and assertive, and as you say, Anthony, he sort of tried everything. We had funky fields. He changed the bowlers on a pretty regular basis. Unlike when we were batting, and there were times when it really felt that the Worcester Fielders, their heads were down, they looked kind of demoralised, the game was drifting away from them. I never felt there was any moment really when we weren't trying hard to take a wicket. There was a sort of strong sense of togetherness, and I think that bodes well for the season. Ultimately, it was disappointing. If I was to be uber critical, or to make a kind of counter suggestion, there were a couple of times when I just wondered if it felt like we were trying to bowl as many overs as possible rather than bowl the balls that was most likely to take the wicket, and almost going faster than we perhaps needed to. So we ended up bowling a lot more overs than we might have done. But did we get into such a rhythm that it meant that the batters also got into a rhythm? But all these things are very easy to say after the event, and in the end, I certainly don't think that declaring earlier would have made very much difference. 200 overs or 210 overs, if we were going to bowl them out, I think 200 is quite enough to try and do it. And in the end, for whatever reason, it didn't quite happen. It feels extraordinary in a way that no one played a shot a little bit like Tom Abels at some point throughout the whole day. Their concentration to keep going and defend was relentless.
Was it the first ball of the third day or the fourth day that sort of popped? Frago bowled it from the Prez end. I think it was the third day because I was there, and it just sort of popped, and I thought, oh hello, this is going to be over pretty quick. I'll be able to take my little go down, I'll be able to sing Blackbird with the boys outside the dressing room, and at the end I sort of sat up on the top thinking, will they take the extra half hour for these 5 wickets? Would it be 6 wickets, 7 wickets? But yeah, never in your wildest dreams did any of us think that they wouldn't have wrapped it up by sort of tea time at the latest.
Oh no, I did
on Monday.
I was never confident we were going to bowl them out yesterday, because that experience against Nottinghamshire last year, at the same time of year, was ringing in my head all the way through. At least we took more last year. In the last day, we took 1 wicket. At least this time we took, what was it, 5? Was it 5? No,
4.
6 down overnight. We took 3, and yeah.
No, there were 5 down overnight, and we took 4.
5, so we took 4.
Yeah. Well, we are unbeaten. We are ahead of two nominally of our championship rivals in Surrey and Essex, who fought out a draw at Chelmsford. I should have got the table ready on my phone. I'm not that prepared. So who's top then? Hampshire? We find the tables. Here we go. Oh no, Notts are top. They beat Durham. Hampshire beat Yorkshire. See, Sonny Baker has got a new bunny in Johnny Bairstow. Can you see it with the bee and all that bee gate or wasp gate or whatever it is, with old young Johnny Bairstow flapping away a bee, and then uppercutting Sonny the third man. We could have done with him, couldn't we? Nice quick bowler.
Yeah.
I don't think he'd have got in the side though, would he?
Well,
hence the fact that he's at Hampshire.
Yeah, that is strange that he just goes straight into their side, and he doesn't play the first class game for us. Sussex drew with Warwickshire, so they're 4th and 5th. Essex are 6th. Surrey are 7th. They drew. Worcester only picked up the one bowling bonus point against us, despite that heroic rearguard effort. Of course, you only score bowling bonus points in your first inning, so they're on 9. Durham are on 5, and Yorkshire are on 3. So, I mean, if you said to me you'll be 2 points ahead of Essex and 3 points ahead of Surrey after one game, I'd have probably took it, but it doesn't work like that, does it?
No.
Do we know why Josh Davey only bowled at 9 overs at the 200? That was strange to me that he was really not used at all.
Because he's seen as the least threatening bowler on a very flat wicket with no pace in it,
What?
I guess.
I'm just going to say less threatening than Tom Lammonby or Tom Banton. No disrespect to either of those.
Yeah, okay. Of the regular bowlers, I mean.
But surely he could bowl less. What was that, 4.5% of the overs?
Well, no, it wasn't a pitch for Josh Davey. You know, he needs some juice in the pitch, a bit of grass.
Should have picked
Right.
Dogport.
On to Hove for Friday then. We are, as ever, picking our 11s. I think mine is just probably Miguel Pretorius in for, and it would have to be Josh Davey, I suspect. Anybody else going anything different?
I'm going to say.
We haven't mentioned a certain Matt Henry so far.
Well, yes. The reason why we haven't mentioned him in our selection for Hove is that he will be on the other side of the planet, still nursing that shoulder injury that he picked up in the Champions Trophy semi-final.
Is it shoulder or his knee?
I thought it was his shoulder.
Well,
Didn't he land on his shoulder? Or... But he's injured anyway. So his return to these shores and to the Cooper Associates County Ground has been indefinitely delayed.
It's not good, is it?
We have all sorts of stakeholders in this with Cricket New Zealand and the player himself and us trying to work out what's best for him. And generally the club will come off, well, the county club, i.e. us, will have the least sort of say in the matter. So we're kind of at the beck and call of, well, not at the beck and call, but you know what I mean, of whatever Cricket New Zealand decide is best for Matt Henry. So we live in hope.
Well, we're not going to see him until the middle of May, I understand. So he might get one championship match and then 3 or 4 last games. That's it. I just, it's a shame. I did say when he was signed that it's a great signing as long as he stays fit. But never mind.
They're all great signings as long as they stay fit. But Miguel Pretorius is probably the type of bowler that we could have done with on Monday. Absolutely just keeps going and going. Heart of a lion, just keeps running in all day. I expect he'll be in for Home, unless they turn up and it's a green seamer that you think would be ideally suited for Josh Davey. Then you got a selection problem.
Well, Mig took 3 wickets in each.
So I think you both talked over each other again. What are you saying, Dad?
I was just saying that Mig took 3 wickets in each innings in the Kent game last year, which was obviously on quite a flat wicket, and obviously we did get the win just about in that one.
You need someone who's willing to run up the hill at Hove. There's quite a slope. They'll be fighting to bowl down towards the sea.
Yeah. But Sussex have got good seam attack. They've got Ollie Robinson and Jaden Seals, the West Indian. Quite quick, apparently. So it might be a pitch that suits our seamers a little bit more than the one at Taunton. But Ollie Robinson's a skiddier sort of up. He's a slightly quicker version of Josh Davey, Ollie Robinson. They both swing it and seam it, not at high pace. Ollie Robinson's a bit quicker, so it might be that it suits Josh Davey. Whereas Casey is a more hit the pitch type of bowler. Wouldn't surprise me entirely.
He seemed to be bowling a bit of a fuller length and getting a bit of that sort of nagging McGrath type length. Just
Yeah,
sort of
he bowled beautifully, absolutely beautifully. But I'm just thinking about Hove as, I suspect you're right. I suspect that Josh Davey will be rotated out and Pretorius will come in. But I think there would be a good argument for keeping the same team.
Yeah.
Casey having bowled so well and the pitch perhaps suiting Josh Davey, and Josh Davey and Craig Overton have got a fantastic record between them as an opening partnership. They're up there with Rushworth and Onions for Durham in terms of success as an opening bowling partnership. And it might just be that the wicket at Hove suits them. And you could get Big Craig coming down the hill. Although I think he tended to bowl up the hill when I've seen him there before. But anyway, him coming down the hill with pace and Josh Davey going up the hill and skidding it around and seaming it around, could be useful. And Casey as who he can dig it in, or he can bowl a full length as he did against Worcestershire, and he's got to be in the team. I'll tell you that he's got to be in the team, Casey, after the way he bowled in both innings, in the second innings as well. He was the one who looked most likely amongst the seam bowlers to make the breakthrough.
Could not agree more. Right, let's quickly pop on. Oh, do we have any other news? Talk about over the last week off-field stuff. Oh, the new T20 shirts have been launched. What do you think of those then?
They're very pink, aren't they?
I agree with.
Yeah, I think
I agree with.
Let's go, Dan. What's your thoughts first?
I think they're a bit too pink and not maroon enough. Like we've gone towards this sort of quite bright pink, but why not the proper maroon? I'm on the website now. The website has a maroon theme. Why don't we use that colour? Like, I don't know. I mean, I don't hate them, but I'm not the biggest fan. And I also think that the novelty of two shirts has worn off. Let's go back to one shirt. It's more environmentally friendly
instead of two ones.
Yeah, that's a big gimmick.
One thing, Gibbo, you've seen a few Somerset shirts over the years. What do you reckon of these two?
I agree with Lewis Gregory's assessment of them.
That is not for public consumption, listener. But anyway, my suggestion is that they pretend that they've got a letter from Disney saying that you can't have this one because it looks too much like Mickey Mouse, and just and you have to stop using it. And Peter, you're being the fashion icon that you were. I mean, I was hoping you imagine your presidential legacy to be sort of good governance and engagement between fans and the board, not terrible shirts, which
Yeah,
I've seen you in one or two at a time.
Even I am struggling with the bowling shirt. I think if we're gonna reduce to one, let's stick with the batting shirt.
And I did put my money where my mouth is because I got my little girl. I said you can buy whatever shirt you want, and she chose the batting shirt. I've got James in Somerset County Sports, but Layla on the back, and I also got my Banton 371 shirt, which was hot off the press. Literally as soon as we declared our innings, I thought I'm going to get that done. So I wanted
the font was wrong though, wasn't it? Wasn't the font wrong?
But yeah, I don't understand why they can't do the same font as the players. But I haven't put my formal complaint at Somerset County Sports yet. That's being the first one is good enough, I reckon. So right. So jury's out on the batting shirt, on the bowling shirt. Sorry. Right, listeners' questions, and I think we must have covered most of this. Simon Walsh has a hypothetical that Banton and Roux could both be picked by England this summer, which isn't unlikely given that they're both started in pretty decent form and have been in decent form for the last little while. And you could have the odd injury here, there, and everywhere. So, who keeps wicket for us? Thomas Roux ? Obviously, Kola Cadmore is a keeper, and when he's around.
TKC in the blast, but yeah, I think Tom Roux in Championship and 50 over.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's keeping today in the second 11 game at Chelmsford. I'll have a quick score update on that while we're here. So Essex batted first. This is a second 11 friendly. 352 for 9 declared. After being, do you know 5 wickets? If you don't have a guess,
Yeah, I do know. Andy Umeed.
Andy Umeed, who was the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10th of 10 bowlers to be used. I suspect most of that might have been the lower order going for the big hits before declaration. So 5 for 14, wicket apiece for JT, Langridge, Joe Hayward, Kean Roberts, and Lewis Goldsworthy. And in reply, Somerset have slumped to 68 for 4. Is it Ben Church? Got 2. Umeed got 33, Goldsworthy 11, Finn Hill 5, and Josh Thomas not out 15. So there we go. So yeah, I suppose it'd be Tom Rew if he's around to play second 11 cricket. I know it's slightly less of a commitment and a standard than playing in the Championship, but you know.
Is he not still? Oh, it's half term, isn't it? Yeah. So
yeah.
Andy Umeed,
should be revising.
Pretty typical Umeed innings. 33 from 36 deliveries with 5 fours. And then he went for too many, and that was that.
Well, I expect that's how he got out. I won't even have to look at the highlights for that one. Ian Han asked about giving the overs in the last over. We've done that. Nick Short, was the pitch too flat? Please discuss.
Yes.
Andy Cleve grumbles about the pitch balance between bat and ball. Hindsight's a wonderful thing. Pretorius and Ogborne to feature. Well, Ogborne's in the second 11 squad. Jake Ball isn't, which would suggest that Jake Ball's slightly ahead of him in Championship cricket, or whether Ogborne is going to play and they just want to get some overs in his legs. He may just play the first innings and then hot-foot it down from they're at Club Ground in Chelmsford, aren't they? Colchester, sorry. They're in Colchester. It's not a million miles away to nip down to Hove.
Well, Jake Ball is a test bowler.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're probably paying him quite good money, so you know he ought to be in contention.
I don't think anybody's saying he ought to be in contention. It's whether we should be picking him ahead of one of our young, bright prospects. That's a debate that could go on forever and ever.
Personally, I'd much rather see Ogborne play over Ball in all formats, really. I mean, Ball is fine to have, but he's not the most exciting player in the world.
Nice guy. Really nice guy.
One for you, Gibbo. After saying we should go back to 3-day Championship cricket last week, old Bagster is saying that we should go to 5-day Championship cricket if we're going to produce pictures like that.
I did 112 overs yesterday, just me and Frank Watson, and with going with the scoring rate going at about 1.5 runs an over. Oh, Jesus.
I felt so sorry for you. I didn't even tweet in stupid little facts about the Worcestershire players for you to read out.
No, let's go back to 3-day county cricket. One division and everybody playing everybody else twice, and there'll be fewer days county cricket than there are now, which the PCA are complaining about, but it isn't going to happen.
Mike Unwin's asking about the Brett Donovan decision. Craig Overton is saying you wouldn't be happy if I bowled all day from one end, would you? Why don't you piss off and support somebody else?
Yeah, well, I agree with Craig. He pulls his heart out every blooming time he goes on that field.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the account in question that he's replying to is I'm not going to give out his name, but he's an obnoxious troll on Twitter, and I think virtually every Somerset fan has blocked him apart from maybe one or two. So
I blocked him long ago.
Old Elon in his wisdom has basically totally changed how you block people now. So if you block somebody, you can still see them, but you can't reply or retweet them or anything like that. So I can kind of see what he's saying. He's just a waste of space, this bloke. But anyway,
no listener to the pod. We might have just lost a listener now.
Have we lost a listener? Oh dear! I don't expect he does listen to us, but if you do, I think we've just initiated our first official banning order. So at Stop 20 Over, if you're listening, well, you're hereby banned. You're not allowed to listen anymore. Off you go, son. See you later. That's what. Well, I love people who hide behind an anonymous account on Twitter. I know I tweet as at Somerset Podcast, but it's clear in my bio that I also tweet that I am me. Or you go off on one on that one. Right, just ticking over to the hour mark then. Any other business, chaps, before we knock it on the head?
No, you're going to Hove, Peter?
I'm not, unfortunately. Having said that I'm no longer working, I unfortunately got a work engagement, which takes me to the delights of Dubai and Abu Dhabi.
Oh well,
next weekend.
Yeah.
So I'm afraid that I can't let down the people that I'm working for there. But it does mean that I'm not only going to miss the game, but I'm not going to be able to watch the live stream or tune into the commentary either. So this will be the first game in a long time, I think, that I will feel completely detached from. So I shall leave it in your capable hands to bring back the victory and as many bonus points as possible, and then we can regroup at the Ageas Bowl or whatever it's
even
called now.
the Utilita Bowl.
Oh yes, that's right.
Oh, I think I've got you. Oh, it's not the Utilita Bowl. It's Utilita Bowl.
Oh, sorry.
I don't think it is. I don't think it's got a the in it.
Really?
I think I had you scheduled in for next week as well, Peter. So I'm gonna have to. Oh no, I haven't. Sorry, it's a bit up in the air at the moment. Who's going to be on next week? So I will send out the schedule. It is all being done.
I'll let you know if I bump into James Vince while I'm in Dubai.
Yeah. I'm jolly glad he's not going to be playing for Hampshire.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, what is it? What am I doing Saturday? Can I sneak down to Hove? Oh no, I can't. No, I'm too busy at the weekend. That's annoying. Rightio. Dan, you going to Hove Saturday?
Yeah, I'll be there Saturday and Sunday. Yeah, looking forward to it. Looks like nice weather as well.
Yeah,
absolutely. I'll be keeping in touch on the live stream, and of course, with your good self on Auntie Beeb Gibbo. Off the Taunton races tomorrow. My old man's horse is running the 458 Firefly Lane. If you want to waste a few quid on that, I think there's been a few quid already. So if you're there, I think me and Walsh will be there. So if you are, I'll see you there. If not, probably catch up with you whenever you're at a cricket ground next. See you all next week.
Bye. Bye.
Bye. Guys,
Cheerio.
bye.
Bye.